Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our creating of our 2D side scroller. Things are going really well at the moment in regards to what we're creating. We've got quite far into the series with different things that we were looking at, from just prototyping certain objects, sprites, and etc. into our game. What we're going to look at today is part 2 of our sprite characters, and in this episode we're going to look at adding more than just 2 animations that we had in our previous video. What we had was just a idle animation and a running animation. What we're going to add is we're going to add a few more. For example, a shooting animation, jumping animation, and probably a death animation. I suppose we could add that in as well. And basically the idea is that it all works off one piece, which is going to be quite interesting. It's called an enum. So we're going to have a look at that and what that's all about. And it's really easy. This episode is very straightforward. It's not difficult to do. Once you do one, it sort of just sticks into your head, and it's really easy after that. So without further ado, let's get ourselves into our scene. So if we remember, so if we just play just quickly, you'll notice that I've upgraded to Windows 10. Worst thing ever. I should have never done that. You'll notice that we've got our idle animation of our little Mega Man, and we've also got a running animation. So if we move, it updates that animation. And if you remember correctly, all the animation was taking control inside our character blueprint, which was this one. Basically, all we did was we changed this select statement to go to our idle or our run animation, and then it would then start running the flipbook itself. And what we're going to do is we're going to start adding more. We're not going to just have just those two. We're going to start adding more into our scene. And as I say, it's not that difficult to do at all. So let's go to our content browser, and we're going to make a new folder. So a new folder, and we're going to call this extras. I don't know why, but I'm just going to call it extras in this case, and we'll give it a color because, as you know, we give everything a color, so we'll give that purple. Why not? Okay. And what we need to do is we need to create what they call an enum blueprint. Okay. So if you just right click and go to your blueprints down here, not this one because it won't work here. You have to actually go to blueprints here. And we're going to go to enumeration. And as you can see, it just says an enumeration is a list of named values. And this is going to be very vital to us because it's going to make our things a lot more easier in regards to how we change our states of our character and how it all works. So once you click on that, we're going to give it we can give it a name. So we could call it character animations. And remember, always put in the beginning of what we're writing is enum underscore, and then obviously then character animations there. So basically all this is going to be is a list of animations that we might want to have for the character. So if we double click on it, sorry, it came up on my other monitor, is basically it looks empty because we have to add certain animation characteristics to our character. Now remember, this is only going to work on 2D characters. If you're making 3D characters, it's a whole different ball game. It's completely different how you handle 2D animation. So this will only really work for 2-dimensional characters or sprites. So let's create a new enum, and we're going to call this one standing. So that's going to be his idle. Actually, let's just name it that. So idle animation. Okay. Add another one, and we're going to call this one. We don't need running because remember the idle animation controls that. So there's one that already does control that. We just need one to come off it. We can have one called for jumping. So we'll add that one in. And let's create another one, and we'll call this one shooting. So we'll add that one in there. I spelled that wrong. I'm sorry, YouTube. And we'll have another one for death. Now, depending on how many you have, I mean, you could add more. We will probably add more during the series. For example, when you jump and shoot, or sliding, or melee attacks, things like that. We'll look into that and how we get that working. So once that's done, we just hit save. As easy as that. So basically, we're going to be able to switch between these states here, which is fairly easy. It's not very difficult. Now we need to head ourselves into our blueprint of our character. So let's jump into our character blueprint, and we're going to set everything up here. But what we need is we need to have a variable. Now the variable is going to be that enum variable that you saw, okay? And to add that, we're just going to add the variable, okay? And here where it says type, if we type in, or if you click on here, you can see all the enums. Okay, so there's a lot of different types of enums, but it'll take you forever to try go through every single one of them. But if we type in enum, okay, you'll see that our enum character animation is there. Okay, so that is the enum that we just created. So we'll just select that as a variable type, and we'll give it a name. So character enum. There you go, character enum. Nice name for you. Compile and save. Okay, so by default, you can see that the default enum is set to idle, but we need to be able to switch between these states. Okay, and what we need to do is we need to add a switch here into our blueprints so we can switch between all the different states that we have. So if you right click and type in switch, okay, so switch, and then switch enum, and there he is there. So switch enum, so switch on enum character animations. If you click on that, you'll notice that we've got all our animation nodes coming off here. And we're going to work with all these animation nodes, which is, again, pretty straightforward. And we've already got an idle one that's already in here. Okay. Now, what we need to do is we need to disconnect this node first because we need to update our animation consistently. So we're just going to disconnect that. Let's just move these out the way. Oh, dear me, that wasn't very good. Let's just move that slightly out the way. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to connect the update to the switch. Okay. And we're going to connect the idle to this flipbook because that's handling our idle and our run animation. So that's already doing two. So that pretty much saves us a job, to be honest. So let's just clean this up a little bit. Let's move that across to there. Move that underneath there. Just move these across because we're going to be branching off quite a lot. So we want to try and keep it as clean as we can so it doesn't get too messy. Okay. Now, the selection is currently set to idle, but I like to keep things nice and clean, as I say. So we can just grab our character enum and we're going to set that. Oh, no, sorry, not set. Oh, I'm going to get it. So we're going to get that and we're just going to plug that in to there. Okay, so that's basically saying, well, currently my animation is going to be set to this under this enum character. So if I even have to play now, you can still see everything's working perfectly fine. There's no need to change anything. It's all working as we want it to. Now, this is as easy as it gets. On our jumping animation, we just drag off and we're going to say set flipbook. So flipbook, okay. And the flipbook for the jumping animation is we need to have a jumping animation as a flipbook. Now, we don't have that just yet, so we actually need to make one, okay. And we'll do that in a minute. We'll just set everything up first and then we'll make all our sprites because that's what you've come here for, really, to be honest. Shooting, same thing. So we can set flipbook like so. So we make another one, and that's going to be for our shooting animation. And one for the death. So we can again pull underneath at the bottom. Set flipbook, and that's going to be underneath there. Okay. So what we have now is just basically flipbooks for each one of these. So a jumping one, a shooting one, and a death one. And what we need to do is we obviously need to make flipbooks for each one of those. So we'll get straight into that one of creating those flipbooks. So going back to our content browser, going back to our character animations, it's time to make some little animations for the specific things that we're looking for. So if we look across, we've got a jumping one here. So we'll just take this. So just right click and we'll create a flipbook from that. We'll call that flip underscore jump. Okay, so that's our jumping animation. Nothing too special. I mean, if you have more sprites for jumping, then you can add that and etc. into your game. That's fine. I mean, you can add some extras if you want to. That's okay. And we had one for shooting. So here's a nice shooting one. So we'll take this one. We don't want to have all of these because they look kind of strange for now. Because if you shoot, you'll keep doing over and over the same animation. So we'll just stick with one for now. So we'll just create a flip book for that one. So flip underscore, oh man, flip. Let's just rename that because I pressed enter by accident. So flip underscore shoot. Okay. And we need one more for death, was it? I think I'm sure we made a death one. So let's just see if we can find one for death. Yeah, here's a nice one for death. That's it. We'll have this one for death. So we'll select all four of those. and create the flipbook. I'm gonna call that flip underscore death. Now this has also got multiple tiles, and that will look really strange in regards to is dying animation. So we're just gonna drop that to maybe 3 frames. No, that's a bit too slow. 5 maybe. So it's just about 2 seconds long. Yeah, that's okay. That'll work for us. Okay. So now we've got all our flipbook animations set up. All we need to do is now set them up inside Unreal. So going back into my character blueprint, this one here was our jumping animation. So we're just going to select our flip jump. This one here was our shooting animation. So we're going to go shoot. And death, we're just going to choose death. Now, just because I've set this all up doesn't mean that straight away it's going to work. That's not the case. We actually need to tell Unreal or the engine itself that, okay, we need to trigger these enums, so these states, right? So we need to say, okay, well, we need this one to play, or we need this one to play, and etc. So what we're going to do is, below here, we're going to start creating some animation for our character, okay? Now we're going to do some very simple ones. We'll do all 3 of these, to be honest. I think we can try to get all 3 of them into the video clip. We might add on in later episodes, but we'll just keep them very basic for now. I mean, even yourselves, I mean, practice at home. Just tinker with some blueprinting, and you know, you'll soon get the hang of it. So let's start with this jump animation here. Now, currently, if I had to type in jump, like so, you can see that there's already an event for jumping. So this is basically the input action for jumping. So that's when you press the W or the up key, and etc. So with this one, what we need to say is when it's pressed, okay, so when we press that, we need to play this enum here, this jumping one. So we're going to set the character enum, so set it, okay, as simple as this. We're going to set that, and we're going to say jump, okay? So when you press that, it's going to jump. So let's test that. So compile and play. So if I jump, there you go. You can see that the character has played that animation, but now he's kind of stuck in some weird state that he's just stuck in that animation set. Okay. So what we could do is once we've done that, on release, we can, let's just copy this actually. So copy and paste that. We can set it on release to go back to idle. Okay, so play now, jump, release, and everything goes back to normal then. Okay, so as you know, everything then will fit itself. But if I just happen to tap W, you can see that it does the running animation within the sky. What you could do is maybe, if you want to get a little bit tricky, we could release, I mean, you could trace the floor and stuff if you know how to do that. But for the simplicity of this video clip, we're just going to stick a delay on. And we'll do a delay of maybe 0.7 seconds. And then we'll set that animation. And let's see what happens. So if I just press the up key, that's a bit long. Jump. Oh, I'm going to die now. So jump. Yeah, that's a bit too long. Let's just drop that to maybe 0.5 of a second. Jump. Jump. That seems to be okay. Now stick with the animation. Okay, so that's working fine. So you could just fiddle around with this to get it working how you want it to work. I mean, there's different ways of doing this, but in this case, we'll just set it this way. A little bit more easier for you guys, you know, if you just want to practice setting up your enums to trigger off each one of these flipbooks. So our next one here is to set the flipbook to shoot, so we can do that. So let's say our shoot key is going to be the mouse click. So here we go. So I just typed in mouse, and we're going to go for left mouse button, which is very casual for any PC shooter type of game. So on pressed, again, we just do the same thing again. So we set the enum to be shooting, and then on release, so when we release the key, we'll then set it back to idle. So we just set that back to normal. And as you can see when we play, so if I shoot, you can see that it's now creating the animation for me to shoot. Okay, so just playing that flipbook feature. Now we are going to add in that feature of the character shooting bullets from the character, but that'll be in maybe our next episode. Actually, yeah, we'll do that in our next episode. And then we're going to look at making checkpoints and things like that in the next few ones. Okay, so that's shooting. Maybe the best idea is comment these. So shooting animation. If you forgot how to do that, you just highlight it and press C to comment. And this is going to be jump animation. Okay, and then the last one that we have on our list is to do a death. Okay, so we're actually not going to do the death in this one because we have got, if we go across, remember the damage system? Basically, when the character got to 0, and it said game over, we want him to die here. So we can set the Enu. So set the Enu. Okay, and we're going to say to death. Okay, so basically I'm just saying when he dies, I'm going to change the animation to a death animation. So let's play that. So when he dies, you can see that the animation starts to play. But there are a lot of issues with this. That one, you can see that the character is floating above the end. I'm going to show you how to remove that now in this actual episode. So this is going to be the juicy part where you're going to see some nice features in Unreal. We're going to actually get him onto the floor. We're also going to stop this from happening. So basically the character can slide when he dies. So we need to stop that from happening. Okay, so we need to stop all that from taking place inside the game. Okay, now to do that is really, really easy. Okay, it's not very difficult to set this up. Okay, so what we need to do is we're going to put in what they call a sequence. So if you press S and click, it'll make a sequence. If you don't like using shortcuts, you could search for a sequence. Okay, so sequence, I think I spelled that right. There is there. So sequence, and we're just going to plug that in. All right, and basically what a sequence does, it allows us to fire off certain triggers. So it'll do this one, and then it'll do that one, and then we can add as many as we like for our whatever we're doing in regards to, imagine this is death, so we'll comment this in a minute for the death part. But what we need to do first is we need to look at how do we sort out him floating. Now, if you remember correctly in our episodes way before, that capsule that we put around the sprite controlled the collision of the character. What's happening is that the sprite shrinks, so it at least goes by half, and the character then is in the middle of this massive capsule on the top and the bottom. So what we need to do is we actually need to half that capsule. Now, the nice thing about this is that there is actually a node that will help us with this. So if we just drag off then 0 and type in set capsule, right? So set capsule half height. Okay, so we're going to set the capsule to half the height. Okay, now 0 is not half. Okay, 0.5 is half, and basically that's going to half our capsule down so that the character won't be skiing on the floor. So let's test it out. So let's play that. Let's hit that, and you can see the character is still doing some crazy animation, but he is not floating in the sky anymore. He's actually touching the ground, which we want him to do, but he's still playing the same animation over and over and over again. So we can do this. We can stop that from happening. Okay, so we'll drag off this node, and we could say stop flip, or stop sprite. That'll do. Okay, so stop the sprite. Let's just move this so it's a lot more cleaner. Let's move it around to there. That'll do me. So basically, it'll half the capsule height and it'll stop the sprite. But there's a problem here, and look what will happen. If I hit that, bam, right? That's a really strange animation to stop at, but it's actually stopping at that very first frame of the animation set that we've got. So what we could do is we could cheat a little bit, as we always do. Okay, is we could add a delay. So add a delay. Oops, spelled that completely wrong. So delay. Now, if you remember correctly, the animation length was about, so let's just go back and let's have a look at the death animation. It is about it's just over 3 seconds. I don't think so that's right, but we'll have a look. That's not right, I don't think. Okay, but let's say our duration is going to be 3. Let's just change. Let's put it as 3. Let's test. And when it's complete, we'll stop the sprite animation. So let's compile and play. So let's hit that. Oh, that's worked quite fine. 3 worked perfectly fine for us. So hit that. 3. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so that worked perfect. All right. So our delay allowed the animation to run through, and then it stops the animation from carrying on. So it doesn't repeat itself over and over and over again. Okay. And the last thing that we've got is that our character, when he dies, he can still surf. We don't really want that to happen because that's a bit strange. Imagine playing a game like that when you die and you can still move around the world, and now I'm back to normal by just pressing other keys, and things have gone completely terribly wrong because our capsule's all changed. But we're going to add a pin, okay, and we're going to quite simply disable any input that is given at all in the level. So it's going to disable anything at all. So that's key presses, everything you have apart from the escape key, obviously to close it down, will stop that from happening. So let's hit that, and you can see I can't move now. No matter what keys I press, I can't move anywhere. If I press escape, however, it will close down our editor view window, which definitely does help a heck of a lot. And that's pretty much how to give our little death animation. So let's just comment that out, and let's go death animation there. Okay, so that will control pretty much all our death animation, what we have inside the game itself. And that's pretty much it. So really we just set up this enum. If you remember, our enum's inside our extras, so it's just this here. And all we did is we added our structure to it. So idle, jumping, shooting, death. We might add more. It all depends on how much we want to add into the game itself. So there might be some more in here. And all we then after that did is we went into our blueprints and we created a variable called character enum. Now remember, you can't find that in the variable type. You actually have to type it. So you have to search for your enum character, which would then find our enum that we created and obviously give our variable name here. Okay. Obviously compile and save. And then all we did is we got a switch here. So we just grabbed a switch. So switch. So switch on enum character animation. And once we did that, we just assigned flipbooks to each one of these. That was it. So just assign a flipbook. So if you had like, I don't know, 20 different enums here, then obviously you just do 20 styles of animation. It's fine. I mean, you can add as many as you like. There's no limit to how many you want to add. And then we made some very simple animations. So a jump animation. So we use this one called jump, which is predefined inside Unreal, and we just set the animations, the enums. We just drag these in and set them up. And again, with the shooting, we set that up into our enums. So we wanted to set into different states. And then our last one was our death animation that we just ran off this damage system. So basically when he was dead, we then decided to play this animation, but then we also had to do a bit of tinkering, for example, changing his capsule height, delaying the sprite so it'll play a little bit and then stop. And then we disabled any input so the user wouldn't be able to interact with the objects or the character itself. And that's pretty much it. That pretty much brings us to the end of that episode. Very lengthy. Normally I keep them under 20 minutes. I'm sorry. I went a bit too much into that one. However, I hope you did understand how to switch between animations. In our next episode, we're going to look at how to add our shooting, not shooting animations, but get our bullets to shoot out of our character. And then we might start adding some enemies, and etc. And then we're going to start looking at making checkpoint systems inside our game, where, say, for example, you cross a checkpoint, it saves that location, and then basically, if you die, it'll send you back to that location, etc. Okay, thank you very much. My name is Wayne. It was nice taking you for the session. Please remember, like, subscribe, and share with all your friends, and I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.